Welcome everyone. So we are going to learn how to read any number in English. Here we have few numbers, and if you need to read these numbers, then it may look very difficult to you to read these numbers. But once you learn few points which I am going to teach, then it will become very easy for you to read any number which must be smaller than this number. So let us start. The first point is you must remember these four words, that is first thousand, second million, third billion, fourth trillion. You must remember these four words in this same order, that is first thousand, million, billion, trillion. I repeat, thousand, million, billion, trillion. Now we go to next step. Now the next step is to be able to read any number, we must know how to read this small number. These are very small number which we all know how to read. And once we know how to read this very small number, then we will be able to read any number. And we already know how to read this very small number. You see how to read this number? This is 5. It is 4. It is 8. It is 36. It is 55, it is 10, it is 986, it is 67, it is 909, it is 850, it is 111, and it is 296. Now once we know how to read this very small number, now we are ready to read any number. So let us take the example of a very large number. Now you see, here we have taken this very large number at first. We will also, after this example or this very large number, we will take example of smaller number also. But first we have taken this very large number because this very large number will better explain how to read any number. So first we see how to read this very large number. Then it will become easy for us to read any number. We will also take examples of smaller number after this. So if I ask you to read this very large number, then it looks very difficult to read this number. But we all know how to read this smaller number. So what we do is, now I ask you to read this number. You can read this number. We read it as 480. And then if I ask you to read this number, then we can also read this number. This is 36. And then this is 152. And this is 706. And then this is 589. So we observe that, or we can say we see that we can read smaller numbers, but we cannot read this very large number. So what we do is, we break this very large number into smaller numbers. Now how will we break this very large number? We will put commas after every 3 digits. You see, these all are digits. This 0 is digit, this 8 is digit, this 4 is digit. This is first digit, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth digit, this is fifth digit, and so on. So how will we break this number? We will put commas after every 3 digits. So we put commas as, you see, we count as 1, 2, 3. We put here a comma. Again we go ahead, 1, 2, 3. We put again a comma. Again we go ahead, we count 1, 2, 3. Again we put a comma. You see, 1, 2, 3. Again we put here a comma. Again we count 1, 2, 3. Now this number ends here. And there are no digits ahead, so we don't put any comma here. Now you see, we have broken this very large number into smaller numbers because we don't know how to read this very large number, but we know how to read this smaller number. We can read this smaller number. So we have broken this very large number into smaller numbers with the help of these commas. And how we put commas? We put commas after every 3 digits. You see, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Again, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So we have put comma after every 3 digits. 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. So now we can write this number as this. Now we have got new smaller numbers. This is a new number which is very small, and we can read this number. We can read it as, you see, this is a new number, and now we can read this number as 589. So now we can read complete number. Now the next thing you must remember that under these commas you have to put these 4 points. Now how will you put? We start from this side, and this is first comma. Then under this first comma you put this first point, that is 1000. Now we go ahead, and this is second comma, and under this second comma we put second point, million, that is million. Now we go ahead, and this is third comma. Now under this third comma we put third point, billion. Now we go ahead, and this is fourth point. Now under this fourth point we put fourth point, trillion, that is trillion. Now you must remember that whenever you reach to these commas, you will read these commas as these words. So when you reach to this comma, you will read trillion. When you reach to this comma, you will read billion. When you reach to this comma, you will read million. And when you reach to this comma, you will read 1000. So now we start reading this number. Now you see, this is a new number and smaller number. We can read it. We read it as, we read it as 589. Then we go ahead, we find comma. We read it as trillion. Then we go ahead, we read it as 706. Then we go ahead, this is comma. We read it as billion. Then we go ahead, this is 152. Then million. Then 36. Then comma 1000. Then 480. So now I hope that you know how to read number. So we read it again. This time quickly. 500. You must notice that, you must remember that we read these numbers separately. These numbers are different in colors, and these are different numbers, and we read them separately, and these are smaller, and we know how to read them. So this is 589. Now I will point from this pen, and you must look at this pen. 589 trillion, 706 billion, 152 million, 36,000, 480. And so it's very easy to read any number. Now we take another example. Suppose we have this number. Now if I ask you to read this number, then again this is a very large number. We cannot read this very large number. But you see, we can read this number. We read it as 74. We read it as 310. And we read it as 208. And this is 59. So we can read smaller numbers, but we don't know how to read this very large number. So what we do is, we break this number, or we can say we break this very large number into smaller numbers so that it becomes readable. Now how will we break? We put commas after every 3 digits. You see, 1, 2, 3, put comma, 1, 2, 3, put comma, 1, 2, 3, put comma, 1, 2. Now the number ends here. We don't put any comma here. Now we have divided this very large number into smaller number. You see, we have new number. This is 59. And similarly we have other new numbers. So what we have done is we have broken this very large number into this smaller number. We have this small number, we can read it. We have this small number, we can read it. We can read this number 2. We can read this number 2. And these are smaller numbers. So how we read it? First we put those 4 points. You remember? First we put under these commas these points. We start from this side, from right side. Under this is first comma. We put 1000 under first comma. This is 1000. Now we go ahead. This is second comma. Put million. Second point, million. This is third comma. Now I put third point, billion under this comma. So we see we have got now billion. So we read it as, first you see we read separately each of the number. We read it as 59, comma, billion, 208, million, 310, comma, 1000, then 74. We read it again quickly. 59, billion, 208, million, 310, 1000 and 74. Now we take another example. Now you see we have this again a large number, and similarly in the same manner we have done before, we will again break this number into smaller numbers. After every 3 digits we put a comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, a comma. Now the number ends here. We don't put any comma here. Now we have broken this large number into smaller number, and we have, this is a new number which is small and we can read it. This is again a new number which is small and we can read it, and this is a small number, we can read it. Now we start from this side, and we have first comma. We put 1000 under first comma, and then million under this second comma. Then we read it as 9 million. You must remember that we should read from this side. We go from this side to that side. We read it as this side, this in this direction. So 9,861,034. Now we take another example. You see, now in your daily life you may find a number with or without comma. Here we have number with already given a comma. So it's good for us. We don't need to put any comma. It is already given in this number. So what we have to do is, we have two new numbers. Here we see 384. This is a new number and it is a small, and this is again a new number. Now we read it as, first we put 1000 under this comma. So you see 384. We know how to read this small number, 384. We should not care about the number ahead of this number. We first read this number which is small, 384, and then 1000, and then 509. It's so simple. I hope you have understood all of these, that how to read any number, and if you have any doubt or questions, then write it into the comments. Or if you don't understood anything from this, then write it and ask me, or tell me any number which you can't read. I will try my best to provide you the solution in my next videos. Thanks for watching.